19 most disrespectful things said by students, according to Reddit. Number 19. Story from my girlfriend being a teacher about 3 years ago. A kid, well, we'll call him Timmy, was on first day of grade 1, about 5 or 6 years old. Super excited to be there and back with his friends. Cue the dinner bell. As soon as it rang, Timmy went to get dressed to go home, conditioned by a half day of kindergarten. GF, hey Timmy, what you doing? Timmy, in a happy and innocent voice a small child could muster. I'm getting ready to go home to see my mom and dad and my dog. Oh goodness, I'm sorry Timmy, but when we're big kids like you are now, we have to stay the whole day. Timmy, girlfriend. Timmy, who signed me up for this? Shit, slams locker door and stamps away. She somehow maintained her composure until she could reach the teacher's break room, told the story, and laughed so hard with the other teachers, she broke a blood vessel in her eye. Little Timmy must have grew up to become Butter Slice.
Who signed me up for this shit? I'm getting too old for this shit.
Number 18. Oh, wait, I have another. I guess somebody wrote another comment. Typical. In 8th grade, I went to a hybrid homeschool where there was this guy in my grade who was super disrespectful to the teachers. In math one day, he wouldn't do his work. The teacher was frustrated and told him he couldn't go to literature until he did the math problems. At this point, the rest of us were already waiting to go in the lit room, and the 6th graders were walking into the math room. The guy says he has to pee. The teacher tells him to try the last math problem, and then he can go. I guess he really had to pee, or was just really mad at the teacher because he stood up, dropped his pants, and peed right there on the floor of the math room. Uh-oh. Old school, son. Somebody responds and says, "Gah, this is why everyone thinks us homeschoolers are weird. They only hear about the weird ones." Well, let's, that's what's up. Number 17. Not a teacher, but last semester, my literature teacher had some family issues and ended up not being there for most of the time. We finally got a long-term sub a couple of weeks before finals, and these boys in my class wouldn't listen to him. We were having a Socratic. The sub asked them to please be quiet. One of them said,
"We don't have to listen to you."
And another said something along the lines of,
"You're not a real teacher."
Before they were sent outside. It really hurt the long-term sub, who has a teaching degree and is a teacher for all intents and purposes. The long-term sub didn't come back, and they sent the scariest teacher in the school along with the principal to talk to us about how disrespectful we were. Edit. Lit is literature. Yeah, how much fucking time are you saving in your day by writing lit instead of literature, you punk motherfucker? The responses to this read, if that happened in my school, the principal would have a stand in front of the school at the next assembly and told us all how disrespectful we were as an example to the rest of the students. Hammer time. A couple guys in one of my classes were constantly late and talked all through a teacher's lesson for a couple of weeks. Eventually she told them to shut up or she'd sign them up for the next local half marathon. They ended up running a half marathon that year since she'd arranged the punishment with the parents. I thought it was brilliant. Number 16. The popular kids in the class gave my 8th grade teacher a bag of potatoes as a graduation gift during the graduation ceremony. She was Irish. Racist. Context. My teacher was an older woman, and we would always ask how she was, and she would never answer. At a certain point, we decided that she must have lived through the famine. Come on now, y'all. 4 hops this time. Right foot, let's stomp. Somebody responds, it would have been more of a dick move to not give her any potatoes at all. You guys are crazy. Number 15. I was a senior and was placed in freshman computer class for some reason. Those freshmen didn't even care that the teacher had to say or he was trying to teach. Literally, the whole class every day would just talk to each other and play games on the computer. One day the teacher broke down and started crying, saying no one respected the teacher, and then he quit. A few years later, I heard the teacher had passed away. I was the only one in the class that paid attention to what was being said and showed the teacher clearly just loved teaching and wanted to teach, but no one gave a fuck. Someone responds, I absolutely hated it when this would happen in school. I had a computer programming teacher who would do this best to teach the class every day. Do his best, god damn it. Do his best to teach the class every day. But there was so many students who just goofed off and played games. I think I know of 2 or 3 other students the entire class that actually gave a shit and wrote their programs. Everyone else was just blatantly plagiarized. Everyone else just blatantly plagiarized from the internet. I think the teacher just gave them passing grades because it was such a rampant problem that if he cracked down on it, everyone would fail and there would be a riot. It makes me sick to think the students go for classes like that because they think they can get an easy A while goofing off. Totally disrespectful and a waste of everyone's time and energy. Well, these aren't exactly what I thought they would be, and I doubt they're what you thought they would be either. When you hear disrespectful comments, you're thinking about shit that's going to make a teacher cry, like some of the shit that I used to say to my teachers. But instead, it's just people just not, really paying the teachers any mind. I guess being disrespectful in their own way. Number 14. A typical architecture design classroom looks something like this. Okay, that's what this, you needed a little visual. Giving us a visual key of your room, so I guess the story will make more sense to us. When I was a TA, I politely asked the closest student to the blackboard to erase it. He replied, "Would you like fries with that?" I just told him, "You're going to say that many, many times. Oh, that's ice cold." I'm sure that was a big time insult back in the 50s. Somebody else replies, "You deserve an award." What award? The corny award? Are they still handing out cornies? Number 13. I taught elementary school at a school for the abused, neglected, and delinquent children the last 2 summers. Now we're talking. Special act, so it's serious business. One of my first graders only referred to me as this bitch. Hell yes, this bitch. Another student I had, 5th grade, wrote about a half a page of ways he was going to rape me. Damn, she must have been flat. I'm kidding. That's not cool. Maybe the this bitch thing is a little bit much as well. It's humorous in the context of this story, but in real life, that would be pretty messed up. And then another guy writing about how he gonna rape her. That's just outright. That's evidence, is what you're presenting right there. That's evidence. Come on now. Older students would frequently hit the teachers and staff. Oh. And cursing out was a common occurrence. One social worker was pushed down a flight of stairs and had bleach poured on her face. Damn. Oh, I forgot that we were talking about a school, for the abused, neglected, and delinquent children. I almost forgot. This bitch. One social worker was pushed down a flight of stairs and had bleach poured on her face. A pregnant teacher had a desk thrown at her. But that's more common than you'd think. Always fun at that school. Why don't you tell us more stories? Why is this one so short? The most interesting one is short, of course. Short, of course. Someone responds, wow. Wow, that is insane. I give you so much credit for working there. How did you even handle situations like that? The initial commenter responds, this bitch is just one of the things you gotta let go. The rape stuff I reported, and then the social worker stepped in to handle it. The social worker who probably got pushed down the stairs and subsequently got some bleach on their face. How you like that bleach? This bitch. I'm sorry, how you like that bleach? I really apologize. I don't know what's coming over me sometimes. As for the bleach incident, there was a legal action against the student. In most cases, you write an incident report and then you give it to the powers that be. Well, that's just the way it goes. That's just the way it goes, guys. That is the way it goes. Number 12. Not a teacher, but my brother is, and he's told me many stories. I'd say the girl that was struggling even to pass his English class, and by struggling I mean not trying, but somehow managing with a hard D. I give her a hard D if you guys know what I'm talking about. How you gonna set me up like that? Anyway, she wasn't understanding a book that they were reading. I think it was Hamlet at the time. Oh yeah. So he lended her his personal copy with his personal notes. And it was some special version with plain English text as well. She doodled on it on every single page of it. That was the most disrespectful thing he's told me about. Worse stuff happened, but that's the most disrespect. It really is. Somebody else wrote themselves a novel here. In response, it reads, I am a teacher. Once, I loaned an A-level student my poetry folder so she could make copies of relevant notes to help her study for the exam. She had failed the exam the previous year and returned to school especially to repeat. I didn't even teach her, but she came asking for help, so I gave it. Anyway, after the exam, I waited for the return of the folder. It never came. I contacted her at home to ask if she could return my work to school before the end of the school year. She said she dumped it after she was finished with it. To say I was apoplectic with rage is an understatement. Apoplectic. The folder contained 9 years of research, development, and resources. Edit. So many people asking why I didn't have backup copies. Obviously, a fair amount of stuff in the folder was backed up because it had been created for the students as revision material. So yes, I had photocopies of those things. What I didn't have copies of were all the handwritten notes and annotations and essay plans and etc., which I had made throughout the years for myself as I worked through the course and taught myself the different texts and topics and brainstormed how best to teach them. Was I a naive fool for loaning the folder to a pupil in the first place? Totally. But in that moment, when she was standing in front of me crying with those big titties I'm kidding. Look, let's continue, man. I don't have time for this. Number 11. Not a teacher, but once a friend of mine got in a pretty heated argument about something stupid with the teacher in our history class, and eventually he just got up, walked over to the front of the classroom, and necked the teacher. Holy shit. You going to jail now? Oh, he just got suspended because they're all little kids. You can't really, what are you going to do with these little kids? Unless you live in Florida, in which case they could give a 14-year-old life. But he did kill that girl. He did kill that girl. What is Kyle talking about if you haven't watched any of my other videos? Let's see what the comments are responding to here. When you said necked, I imagined aggressively making out until okay. Okay, guys. Number 10. When I was a senior in high school, I was in physics class filled with the future staff of McDonald's. This one day, we had a substitute teacher who might as well have walked directly out of a Playboy. She just wanted to teach us, man. The future head fry cook of our class took such a liking to her and such offense when she turned him down and tried to discipline the class that he told her he'd rape her if given the chance, and then paraded across the top of all of our desks screaming vulgarity until she cried. We tried to stop him. We really did. But he was just such a piece of shit. Just kept slipping out of your hands, I'm guessing, huh, guys? You guys didn't have enough toilet paper to deal with this guy. Not that it makes things right, but the rest of the class and I managed to get him expelled for it with our testimonies from that day. Another time I was in high school, I saw some kids push a pregnant teacher down a flight of stairs. I never found out what happened to her, but those kids got expelled too. Man, kids be crazy, y'all. There's disrespectful and there's pushing a pregnant lady down a flight of stairs. You know what I'm talking about? The people at your school were fucked up. Somebody else says, yup, it's a miracle there are any success stories that made it out of that school. Can I hear some success stories? The original commenter responds. 2 kids I know are now lawyers, and one girl I was good friends with is a nurse who also raises and trains therapy dogs to comfort her patients. Another girl I was very close with is an ASL interpreter and has successfully trained her deaf cat to understand basic signs so that she can talk to him. How cute. That's adorable. You know, going back to the therapy dogs, I could use a good bitch to give me some therapy. You know what I'm talking about? That is completely uncalled for, Kyle. That is completely uncalled for. How dare you, Kyle? Number 9, in the 6th grade, my teacher took a leave because she had a miscarriage. Ooh. I feel so bad. I feel so bad giggling as I went into this one. So let's try that one again. Take 2. Number 9, in the 6th grade. It's too serious though. Okay, I apologize. All right, look normal. Number 9, in the 6th grade, my teacher took a leave because she had a miscarriage. A classmate said she hated her and was glad she lost her baby. Damn. Middle school students are the worst when it comes to shit like this, says another responder. It goes on in the thread. They know the most horrendous shit to say, but don't realize just how terrible it is. Yet, I remember. And I knew how horrible it was too. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Number 8, not a teacher, but probably the most disrespectful thing I've ever witnessed in a classroom. One of my classmates was arguing with our teacher. They were going back and forth for a while, and the teacher was visibly getting upset, turning red, etc. She ended up threatening to send the student to the principal, which coincidentally is the kid's dad. He looks her in the eye and says, "Mrs. Teacher, I literally don't care what you say or what you tell me to do. I just don't care, and I will not do it." The teacher backed down and started crying at her desk. Pretty awkward class the rest of the year. I remember the time I made that bitch cry, though. It was her fault. Let's be real, though. It was her fault. She had to leave the class. And when she left the class, everybody turned on me. And I was like, bitch, I got the wrong one. You know what I'm talking about? It's not my fault that this bitch don't know how to work. And she was a lady. And, I wouldn't consider myself the most the misogynistic kid or something, but come on now. You better leave all your shit at home if you come in to teach at school. Don't, come on now. A response reads, I worked at school for wayward boys who just ignored authority and refused to do shit every day. It takes a fuck ton of relationship building, positive reinforcement, and patience to get them anywhere. The public school system rarely have the resources to deal with this properly. Another response reads, my dad is a teacher and constantly tells stories of students deliberately disobeying, ignoring authority. Why do I feel like this is happening more and more in the education system? Because the education system broke, son. That system is broke, son. These kids in school getting bored as a motherfucker. And it's not because, the things that are being taught is particularly boring. It's because the style of teaching is broke. Like, these kids are not being taught to learn. They're being taught to pass a test. And half of the shit that's on the tests are what we would call irrelevant information. None of it's practical. None of it's ever going to come up again. It's just shit that they're going to see on this test, and either they know the right or the wrong answer to it, and they go from there. There is nothing that's going to help them in real life. And, how the hell can anybody get fired up for some corny ass shit like that? So it encourages the practice of cramming for a test, just filling your head for a certain amount of time with a certain amount of bogus and useless information outside of the context of these tests. And then when you pass it, you pass. If you fail it, you fail. Fuck me. Write a Dr. Seuss novel about it. Number 7. One time I had a teacher who had an eye patch. Okay. I had just gotten back from a bad wreck about 3 months off and had gained some weight. He offered me a piece of chocolate. And I jokingly said, no thanks, I'm trying to watch my figure. And he said, that's a lot to watch. And I said, too bad you can't see all of it. It's just a bit of good-natured ribbing. Not a big deal, guys. Come on, it's just a little bit of haha yuck yuck. They probably made out after. Too bad you can't see all of it. That's a lot to watch. You know what I'm talking about? Probably, they were probably raising their eyebrows and nudging each other in the ribs very hard. Number 6. One of my coworkers was 80 years old. He married his high school sweetheart, had 2 kids, adopted 5 more, Lord knows how many grandkids, etc. They were in love. At lunch, he would show us the lunch and love note she made that day. He always talked about her, the kids and the grandkids. Every morning his wife dropped him off, I guess, and they would talk until the bell rings. He loved teaching and helping the students. He taught ninth grade health studies, a mandatory class, so all the students knew him. One day he drove to school by himself, and we just knew. We didn't ask, but he told us that she just passed away on Sunday. What's somebody gonna say, son? We told our students, and one kid said, she was old anyways. Oh my God, son. Never wanted to hit a kid so much in my life. That was 3 years ago. He is still teaching. That's so sad. That's so sad. That's so sad. Number 5. When I was a TA, I had the basketball team's starting center and point guard in my class in consecutive quarters. I failed them both, which made me public enemy number 1 for the time. The point guard was a pleasant enough guy, but every paper he turned in was clearly plagiarized. The prompt would be something like, compare and contrast two hobbies, and he turned in some pristine essay about capital punishment every single time. I would give him a 0 and ask him to rewrite it, and he never did. The center, meanwhile, oozed disdain for me and the class. He technically failed by having too many absences, department policy. When he did attend, he'd show up late, slam in the door as though to announce himself. He'd read the newspaper while I lectured, and I don't mean it was like subtly folded on his desk. He would hold the thing in front of him with 2 hands like a dad in a comic strip, loudly turning pages. I told him to knock it off, and he refused. I kicked him out of my class, and then I spent the next 2 weeks defending myself from nasty attacks from the parents and coaches. Well, I mean, what is there to contribute to this? What do you want me to say? Waka waka. Number 4. When I was in high school, there was this kid who was the class clown. Wow. But in a bad way. He was the jokester of the class, but he was also a bully and never did any work and distracted everybody. He was also very bright, bad and smart as well. Smart to the bone. My science teacher tried so hard to get through to him. He was also very bright, okay. He'd tell him he believed in him when he knew he had it in him to do well, but it never worked. The kid just laughed in his face every time he tried to help. At the end of high school, he flunked his exams so many times he wasn't even allowed to take it again unless he paid for it. My science teacher still believed in him and said he knew he could pass if he just tried one more time. And he even offered to pay. The kid accepted, said that he was disappointed in himself. He needed to pass to get into college, and his mother would never afford it. He said he'd study this time and sit the test. The teacher paid, and the kid didn't even show up for it afterwards. I saw him laughing about how stupid the teacher was for giving him another chance. Well, that's kind of sad. But the joke is indeed on this little shit if he didn't follow through. I'm sure he's, sucking scrotums somewhere. Sucking scrotums, ladies and gentlemen. Oh shit, I forgot to make, oh no. I can make them right now. Sucking scrotums. Okay, yo. I'm gonna go smart to the bone. Let's see. Fantasy music. Okay. Let's see here. I'm gonna turn this into like serial fetish. Okay. Maybe like I don't know. Dude, we'll finish these later. I really should have did that earlier. Oh well. It's Lexaeus' fault. Ha ha ha. Well, number 3. When I was a student teaching a senior, thought it would be funny to go rip the wig off of a teacher who was going through chemo at the time. Oh. And the OP is all like, what happened to that student? I really hope he got suspended or expelled. Somebody said he actually ended up getting punched in the face by another teacher. Wow. The teacher didn't get in trouble. Glad the teacher didn't get in trouble. That little shit. How you gonna rip a wig off a cancer motherfucker? Come on now. Damn. Number 2. How does it get a bit worse than that? Number 2. I used to be high school teacher in English. Am I high right now? I used to be a high school English teacher. Last year I was diagnosed with bilateral hearing loss, and now I wear hearing aids. My loss is high frequency, so my devices are designed to amplify those sounds. This can be painful if the sounds are too sharp. Some of my students downloaded high frequency resonator apps and would play them while I teach. Wow. Just to be dicks. Somebody said, audiologist here. See your hearing aid provider. We can reduce the maximum power output of your hearing aids so that those high frequencies don't hurt. What a nice guy. Somebody says, this is one of the finer reasons I like Reddit over other social platforms. This shit never happens on Facebook. Nigga, fuck Facebook. Yo, punk ass, the fuck wrong with you? You on Facebook, they be like, hey, look, man, just pour some acid in your ears. You never hurt no more. They ain't gonna hurt. Number 1. There was a fist fight in the cafeteria, and after the principal broke it up, the kid he was restraining screamed, I'm glad your bitch wife died at 9/11. The principal turned red and walked out, and the student was expelled. I'm glad your bitch wife died on 9/11. I am glad your bitch wife died on 9/11. Wow. Somebody else said, when I was in middle school, we had a guest speaker, John Halligan, speak about bullying because his son killed himself years prior to bullying. During the question time, a kid raised his hand, and in an auditorium with a microphone right at his face, standing up, he goes, what did you feel worse about, your son's death or 9/11? I just love the idea that there's just like a kid with a mic and he's just like, what did you feel worse about, your son's death or 9/11? Jesus Christ, man. Only on these lists, man, you know. Well, we reached the end of it, guys, you know. Most disrespectful things students have done, apparently. It's not even that great. And the list barely made it to like 30 minutes. So I feel like I should just try to crank out another one. If I can do that in time. In time. So here's a news story from today. Yeah. Tampa activists arrested for feeding the homeless. Again, you know. What kind of world are we living in, you know, where people are getting arrested for feeding the homeless, you know? What, are they too close to? What's wrong here? Are they too close to a park? Top comment here reads, so what are the legalities on setting up a sidewalk so many feet from the park but still accessible to those in need? There were worse things on earth than feeding, you know, people, hungry people as well. Goddamn, you know. Somebody said these stories are all the same. In order to feed members of the public, you have to have certain permits and insurance. The point of that is to protect the people that are being fed and to deal with the liability in case someone gets something like food poisoning. It doesn't matter that these members of the public or homeless are not. These same standards still apply. On the opposite side of the argument, you have the people that argue anything is better than nothing for the homeless. That is to say, we should be able to suspend some of the legal and safety requirements in order to get some food to these desperate people. There is some merit to this argument. However, this is normally the point where the city steps in and says, yeah, well, if someone gets sick, we're the ones who will get sued, so no. Also, there is an ethical concern about lowering food safety and standards for homeless people compared to non-homeless. The only solution to this problem is for local governments to pass legislation that specifically exempts people from food safety regulations when feeding the homeless. But again, that brings us back to the ethical argument. Yep, I get where they're coming from. It would basically just be like if the homeless don't fall under the umbrella of the standards that, food people have to live up to, which is why they earn the permits and shit like this, then one guy could just be like, I'm going to go feed the homeless with this basket of poisoned food. The homeless aren't under the umbrella of the crap, so I can just give them whatever I want. And he thinks he can single-handedly solve the homeless problem. Now, I'm not saying this is something that people should do, but I know people are evil, and I know it's the type of thing that people would do if the law didn't stop them. You know what I mean? Some people only don't break the law because the law is there. If there was no law there, shit, you wouldn't be listening to this video by Kyle right now. So, thank you for being here. I'm going to try and churn out another one of these. If I can find the list that's popular enough. Damn. Love you. Talk to you soon.